The Answer.
Hey, welcome back. I'm thrilled to bring in the husband and wife team, the owners of Service Master Restoration. I've got Sam Simon and Nasutsa Mabwa. An incredible story, an amazing team that's so focused on servicing the business community, and quite a COVID story. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's start with who you guys are and tell us a little bit about the business, and we'll get into your COVID story in just a minute.
Okay. I'm Nasutsa Mabwa, and I'm president of Service Master Restoration by Simons. And Sam Simon is manager of operations, and we've been in business for about 7 years, and we're located in the North Shore and also in Chicago. And we service the greater metropolitan area, Chicago. 2
locations, Chicago and North Shore. Many of us are familiar with Service Master by Simons, really interesting business. And it's an important time. First of all, how long have you been in business?
About 7 years.
7 years. So COVID comes around over the past couple of months, and like many business owners, you guys were struggling. Tell us a little bit about that story and sort of how you have pivoted. All of our listeners love to learn about success stories, and hopefully they can learn a thing or two as well.
Sure. So COVID came along, and there was the big shock, I think is a good way to describe it, and the big shutdown, the shelter in place and the quarantine in place. So a lot of businesses shut down, and we were quite concerned ourselves. We have young children, and we have staff that have young children. And so we made the decision to close the company temporarily, at least to quarantine ourselves, and decide what our next step was. The phones kind of stopped ringing because I believe people were concerned about face-to-face contact with anybody at that point. And part of our business model is that we have to have face-to-face contact with the customer when there's a water damage or there's a fire damage or a mold remediation. So the phone, go ahead.
And Sam, you talked a moment ago about how you guys have been in business for 7+ years, and you've been busy, but obviously having a family was a concern. And I think it's fair to say we communicated prior to the show that this took you by surprise. So the phone stopped ringing, and then you discovered something from your corporate office, I believe, some resources. Tell us a little bit about that and how now your phone has not stopped ringing.
Sure. So Service Master Corporate started putting out these communications to the franchises nationwide about how to begin servicing customers for COVID-19 disinfection, cleaning and disinfection services, and decontamination. And Nasutsa and I talked about it. We were kind of watching the communications, and then we said, okay, we better get in on this because we're kind of, business has stopped. And so I created a COVID-19 cleaning and disinfection webpage on our website, and almost overnight, the phone started ringing. People were concerned. People were scared. Didn't know what to ask for or didn't know what to do. And Nasutsa and I, coming from we met as social workers, and we knew we had to do something. We knew we had to get in there, and people needed help. People needed guidance. And we drew from our experience as administrators and coordinators to begin help customers begin the process of adjusting, getting cleaned, and getting disinfected.
Well, it's such a critical service, and everybody is seeking, guidance in terms of how they can safely get back into their workplace, whatever the case may be. And certainly those resources that were provided to you, and now your phone ringing off the hook. I'm really, really fascinated, Nasutsa, about that background of social workers and how it's allowed you and how it's helped you in your communication with your clients. Can you tell us a little bit about, I guess, perhaps advice that you might have to some of our listeners that might be tuning in?
For sure. I mean, I think customers are just looking for, and that's commercial customers and residential, just peace of mind and somebody who is professional and kind and has enough empathy to help them through this process. I mean, COVID-19, this pandemic is very scary. There's a lot of unknowns, and it's touched so many people. So because of our background, we're used to speaking to people one-on-one or in smaller groups. And we understand that one-to-one human connection. And you just have to be personable and just listen. A lot of it's just listening to the person on the other line, what they need, and trying to then respond to them and provide the right services that are appropriate. But there is some long phone calls. There is a lot of, kind of on phone therapy, which is fine. And then I think when the teams are on the site, there's also a degree of that as well in person. And that's just what it requires. But we do that often with our water and fire damage restoration in massive and major disasters. So we're comfortable doing that.
Sure. And Respond you have. I've been chatting with the owners, husband and wife team at ServiceMaster by Simons, both in Chicago and the North Shore. If you guys can share your website, contact information, that would be most helpful.
Yes, for sure. We are at www.servicemasterbysimons.com. And you can also find us at ServiceMaster Restoration by Simons on Facebook and get more information there about COVID-19 cleaning and disinfection services. 855-9-SIMONS.
Well, very, very much appreciate you guys joining us on the air, sharing your story, and perhaps more importantly, the advice that you have. Well, we're not going to get down to business in just a moment. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to the show all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship.
Did you miss the open enrollment?